Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. I just wanted to share a video of me fixing my Broadway Limited imports streamlined K4. As you can see, I've already got the body off of the locomotive, just kind of fiddling around with the wires. So what happened was the tether wire that goes from the locomotive to the tender, it broke. So one of the little wires came loose, and right now I'm just taking off the little board where that tether actually attaches. And as you can see, I'm pulling on the tender on the back side there, trying to kind of fish it through underneath some spots there. Well, there's the new tether. It comes with the board, which I don't really need, and I'll have an extra one, which is really nice. So at this point, I'm just trying to get the new tether off. Didn't work that well. So I'm going to unscrew this one, and I'm trying to get the leads out of the board. I was thinking I would just go ahead and do the whole board, but as you can see, I've got one out, but I fight the other ones, and that ends up becoming a problem too. So at that point, I kind of back up and punt, and I grab the tool again and try to go at the original tender wire, or excuse me, the replacement tender wire. So I'm fishing this one back through. This is the old one. You can see where the old wire is broken right there. So I'm taking this little plate and the actual drawbar there out to give myself more room to fish these wires and the actual 8-pin connector through the little space that it gives me. And as you can see, I got it out at this point. And I wasn't going to mess with the other connection points right there, so I just decided to go ahead and pull it out, because the original one pulled out pretty easily, and then I got the new one to pull out. So I just went ahead and put the new one in the original board there, and kept the new board for safekeeping in case I happen to need it for something else. But as you can see, the new one clicks right on in, because there was nothing damaged on that side. All I really needed was that a wire tender wire, but it came the way it came, $15 part, no big deal, I guess. So at this point, I'm trying to carefully fish the new wire back through that little space that it gives you. I wasn't as nice with the first one because it was already broken, but at this point, I know I need to make sure that what I do doesn't break the new one I'm putting in. But I get it through there. As you can see, it's just a little bit of nudging and pushing here and there, trying to get it lined up, and so it'll make its way to the other side. And as you can see here, I got it through, which was nice. It didn't take too much fighting. I just wanted to say, excuse my hands. They're pretty work related. I just came home from work and started working on this thing, so they're not cleaned up too much. But here I'm just kind of giving a little extra solder to this power wire that goes to the pole motor, or 5-pole motor, or whatever. I don't know. It's a motor. It's a good motor, and I did that because it looked like it was about to come loose. I wanted to make sure that was a really good solder joint. Here I'm just putting that little board back on with the one screw that holds it in. Pretty simple process. Just kind of getting things back together at this point since it's repaired, although there's lots of little pieces, lots of little screw locations. So if you ever did want to try to fix one of these, it might be a useful thing to have. Is this video, you can kind of see where some of these screws go. Apologize for my hat getting in the way there. That's kind of annoying. I just have my phone propped up, and this is my kitchen counter, so nothing fancy yet. I'd like to make some better space for doing these kinds of things. But yeah, there you go, getting that little board put back together and all the little plugs back together. I think actually, nope, I haven't got the other plug back in yet. But yep, just wanted to show that it's all completed in there, and I was pretty proud of myself at this point, and I was excited to get my locomotive back up and running because it's been a while. But at this point, I'm going to put that plate that I took out along with the drawbar, and it's kind of a sneaky thing because you got to sneak it over these wires here. The drawbar kind of fits, it's in a little weird groove comes to a point in there. It's interesting the way it works. Actually, 2 pins hold it in the back, and there's a center pin right there that I'm pivoting on. And that little plate goes right over the top of that, screws in with 2 screws to hold the drawbar in place. Honestly, I think it's a pretty nice system. Never had issues with the drawbar. I was kind of concerned that it, as you can see, has an open end and it just kind of clicks into a pin on the other side. But it seems to work really well. I've never had any issues with this thing hauling as many cars as I'd like and coming loose or anything like that. But as you can see, I'm putting those 2 screws back in, dropping them as well. I don't have magnetic screwdrivers, although I should, and I could probably just magnetize these ones, but I just haven't got around to it yet. I'd like to get a better set that was magnetized, but sometimes magnetized works against you, so having ones that aren't is a good thing too. So, but as you can see, yep, I got that first one in, the drawbar's in place, the wire's in place where it needs to be, getting closer to getting the whole thing back together. So also in this video, I'll be showing you the installation of a go pack that I put in the tender portion of the locomotive, and that helps with the reliability over dead spots in your tracks and things like that. So at this point, I'm just kind of screwing everything back together. I think I'm still working on the plate. There's my gross finger after work with my work hands. I don't have very nice hands. They're beat up. But anyhow, everything seems to be working pretty good on the backside there. And so here we're starting on the tender. I kind of apologize. I didn't have my phone in 16:9 ratio when I filmed this. I had it the 9:16, which is, normal short ratio, but not regular video ratio. So I cropped everything to make it down to 16:9, which kind of gives us a little more focal point, but not everything made it into the video as far as what you can see. But I did move everything around so you can see most things. At this point, I'm just taking the screws out of the back and pulling the cover, the actual top of the locomotive or the tender off to expose the decoder. In this locomotive setup, the decoder is in the tender. You can see 2 speakers right there. They sound pretty good too. And you can see where everything kind of connects in the back. So at this point, I'm just taking some tape off to get to the connection. This is a BLI Paragon 3 decoder, and that's the Go Pack. So the new decoders, Paragon 4, they come with a Go Pack. The older Paragon 3 decoders actually don't have the little port for that little 3-pin connector, so you have to solder them on. This one, luckily for me, has the little port right there, and it makes it rather easier to install because these little connections, they're just tiny, and even just getting this thing plugged in is not easy. So you got to make sure that your pins are on the right side, because I would imagine it's pretty easy to F this up. Excuse my language. Trying to put it in the wrong way could be forcibly done, and you would mess up the plug and the connector. It would be pretty difficult to get it back in the right way after that. I would have even trying to get it back out would be pretty difficult. So you want to make sure the little pins on either side of the male and female are lined up pretty well, and then I just start kind of kneading it down very gently on both sides so that it goes into the socket evenly, because it's a pretty tight fit in there, and you don't want to jam it or move a pin over or something like that where it's not going to make a connection. These wires are incredibly small. So there it is installed. It's not too hard to put in. It's not overly complicated. It's tedious and it's tiny. It's not N-scale tiny, but it's pretty small. And excuse my hat once again, but I get out of the way. So right now I'm just trying to put some of the tape back on the locomotive and get the wires tucked into place and things like that, where they won't get wrapped up in the shell or anything like that when I put it back on. So I end up finding a pretty neat spot for the decoder too. It gets snuck in on the tether wires that go out to the locomotive on the front side. It just easily snuck in that spot. If I get a glimpse of that in the video, I will show it to you, but I don't think so. I think a lot of hands and stuff are in the way. And may be able to see it when I back up a little bit here in a second, but I'm not sure. Either way, if you just follow those black wires down, that's where the decoder, you can actually see the tip of the not the decoder, the little go pack, which is just a capacitor, by the way. It's a keep alive unit. And that just tucks in there. I didn't tape that in at all. I just kind of put some more electrical tape over the top of that little foam and the tape that's already there, just to keep all the wires in place and without moving or anything like that, and kind of tucking them in. There you go. There's the actual go pack. You can see right before I put the shell on. So there you go. That's it. That's done. You know, as you can see, my wheels need to be cleaned up a little bit. Before I got this locomotive, it had been ran quite a bit. You can just tell. And I had to clean up a lot of things. There's 2 screws on either end of that tender. Go ahead and put everything back together, and it's good to go, really. Wasn't too hard to complete. Wasn't too hard to get done. Everything went together rather well. Just kind of trying to figure out how to route some things here and there. But overall, I absolutely love to work on these kinds of things. This is definitely a part of modeling, and I apologize again for the just not so great video. But as you can see, this is the one wire that comes from the top of the unit on the actual locomotive shell, and that little wire goes up to the lights and the smoke unit. So here I am plugging that light back in before I put the shell back on the locomotive. Again, I just need these things in with the tip of a very small screwdriver, and it just works really well. It avoids you having to manhandle things or use like some kind of needle nose or hemostats or something like that, where honestly it seems like I just do more damage trying to do something like that, whereas I just use the tip of a flathead on the edges of a plug. It works really well as long as it's lined up. But as you can see here, I'm starting to get everything back together. You'll see in the next frame here, I'm putting in the one screw that goes under the front truck. There's only one right there. It's the longer one. It makes it easier to know that. So when you take the screws out of one of these, just put them aside and remember where they go, because they're not all the same size. All of the frame to actual shell screws are different sizes. This is the only single one though. The other 2 sets are 2 apiece, and they are also different sizes, but are the same size retrospectively. So the next set right there is in the middle. You can see that underneath the drivers. So you can see that they're the same size, and these are the same size, and I'm showing you that I believe that this set right here are the slightly longer ones that need to go in the middle, and the shorter ones go in behind the rear trailing trucks. Or is it, I'm opposite of that actually. Yeah, so the longer ones go in behind the trailing trucks, or beside them really, and the shorter ones go in the middle right there. They drop down into the little holes. So you can see I'm putting it back together just slowly but surely. Don't call me Shirley. And again, I'm showing you that this is about the only way I can hold these dang screws. I kind of have to drop them down with faith, because my screwdrivers are not magnetic. I really love this locomotive. It's such a nice locomotive. The Broadway Limited just makes such a well-made product. People have had a lot of problem with their Paragon decoders and things like that, and they're starting to offer trains without decoders, so you could put your own decoder in it and things like that. Honestly, I don't know. I haven't had too many issues with it, other than the tender itself has a positive and negative pickup on it on each truck. So one truck is positive, one truck is negative. I don't know. I just don't. I feel like there's probably a better way. where maybe each truck picks up positive and negative. I don't even know if that's possible, but that's why they need one of these keep alive units. And I'm pretty sure it gets power for some of the driver wheels, or at least ground or something. I'm not sure exactly how BLI does these, but you would think it's just there's a better way to do it, considering, you know, without the little go pack that you have to buy separately, this thing will just die over every frog and all kinds of stuff. So as you can see there, my little glass windshield has popped out of place. It does that. I really need to put a little dab of modeling glue in there to keep it in place, because they just kind of pop in and they really do come out pretty easily. But there's the old one, broken as ever. And there's my, you know, little board that I get to keep. It's brand new. I'm going to put that in a package and put it away in case I ever need it. And everything is done. So I can start putting all this stuff back together, and you can see right here the drawbar go in, and then actually I get the little plug in first here, and I pull the drawbar over the top. But yeah, it's all pretty simple. It's a pretty good setup the way they do it. I think it's not too bad. And then you have your little drop down plate in the middle that comes down in between the two, which really finishes it off nice. So there it is. There's the finished product of my Broadway Limited. Enjoy.